What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the HyperFast Wealth Show, we've got a special guest. He was able to quit his job as a mailman recently after only a couple years of starting off as a real estate investor, first with fix and flips, then with buy and holds. He's now built up to a portfolio of over a dozen doors just in a few short years. He was recently featured on the Bigger Pockets podcast and has a podcast of his own now. Welcome to the show, George Gipson. All right, welcome to the show today, George. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, Dan.
Good, and you're joining the show from sunny Vero Beach, Florida, correct?
Yes, I'm down here in Florida. We have I made this post the other day that it said 1,000 people from New York are moving to Florida every day. So
1,000 a day. Yeah, I mean, better weather and all sorts of advantages for real estate investors like yourself. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into real estate and how you got to what you're doing right now today.
All right. So it started out, I was working my job. I was a mailman. I graduated college, looked for a job like most college students, couldn't find the right job. So I ended up getting a job at the post office. I became a mailman. That was about 6 years ago now. And the first year of being a mailman, I was just putting the mail in the box and I listened to music, putting the mail in the box. And then all of a sudden I discovered this app on my phone called Podcast. So I go to Podcasts and I discovered like real estate, motivational speaker like Grant Cardone, Gary V, Bigger Pockets, stuff like that. And I started just listening to it and started listening to music over and over. And like over that time, like the first 2 years, I'm just listening to podcasts. But after I say about like 2 years ago, that's when I actually started purchasing properties on my mail route.
Wow, that's a great story, and I think it goes the power of education, right? Self-education specifically. Like you went to college, but then what really I think set you free from a job, from financial standpoint, was real estate, which it seems like you learned all of that through podcasts. You mentioned Gary V, Grant Cardone, Bigger Pockets. I've interviewed David Green on this show before. Actually, it was one of our earlier episodes, and I interviewed Grant Cardone and Gary V. So if you're listening and haven't checked those out, go back to the first few episodes. But I think a lot of people go to school for something, not real estate though, and then
Right.
they learn either from a mentor, from podcasts, from blogs, YouTube, whatever it is. They learn how to do it. Was that your experience? Like, what did you go to school for? Was it anything to do with real estate?
Well, I went to school for accounting. And so accounting is a major part of real estate. So I went to school for accounting, graduated, but my parents, like my dad side of the family, they was into real estate. And what I mean by that was I just seen, they own this house, own that property, but they never like sat down and explained to me like, how rent works or buying properties. I never seen that. So I just knew like my family was somewhat in real estate, but so I had like I was around it, but I really didn't learn or care about it until I actually started working the job. And I realized, I'm working so hard and so much and I'm making progress, but in order to, provide my lifestyle, I'm gonna have to keep working this job, pretty much the rest of my life. That's how I felt. So when I started listening about real estate, passive income, that was like financial freedom. That's like the new American dream right now, financial freedom. I became curious about that. And me and my wife, we both decided, all right, let's start purchasing, rental properties. And maybe that will relieve us of having to work so hard,
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. How did you get from, that point where you knew about real estate but you hadn't done a deal yet. You know, maybe you heard some of these podcasts. Like, how did you get from that point to your actual first deal?
Okay. Well, all right. Yeah, that is the hard part, that first deal, because we think, you know, by just looking at properties, you magically will become a homeowner or a landlord. And it doesn't work like that. You have to put in an offer. So from that point, I would say I worked at the post office 5 years. So I say around my fourth year, that's when I actually purchased my first property, my real estate property off my mail route. And that was I seen a sign that say house going up for auction on a Saturday. So I look at the house, I said, wow, this is right by the post office. So I wanted to buy it just so I could know, like, I'm driving to work every day. And I looked at something I invested in and realized, okay, this is only temporary. Eventually, I'm gonna own enough of these houses that I don't, you know, have to go to work every day. So the first property, it was getting auctioned on a Saturday and I had to work. So I made my route where I was at that house around 10 o'clock that morning. And when I pulled up to the auction, it was like about 10, 12 people out there and the auction started. My max number was like 48,000. It's cash offer, cash auction. So I told my wife, we're not gonna go over 48,000. So we started the auction off and it go 47,000, 49,000. I said, all right, that's it. I told my wife that's it, but it was still a good deal. So I ended up, we kept bidding and I won the auction at $52,000. And, you know, immediately after I won that, I was like, we just spent $50,000. And I was terrified, honestly. I was terrified, I'm serious. Because I knew it was a good deal, but the fact of spending that much money in like seconds, it was like, you know, nerve-wracking.
What year was this? I don't know if we said the year, just to give people perspective.
We in 2020, so this is probably like late 2017 or beginning 2018.
Okay, and this is a single family home, right?
Yes, it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, concrete block in it's probably like a C- neighborhood. You know, it's
near Vero Beach, or?
Yes, it's about 15 minutes away.
Okay.
Yes, so I mean, I purchased that property, right? And
I mean, it seems I don't know the area, the neighborhood, right? But it seems like a deal to me. But again, I don't know a lot of the facts. We'll get into that.
All right,
let's keep unpacking this.
I'll give some background. Well, that's what. All right, for anybody listening right now, this is a secret, but I'm gonna let it out on the show. When I look for deals, you know what make the deal happen is the story behind the deal. So, like, a lot of times you see a price. A price is just a number. But for instance, this guy who was selling the home, his family owned the property for like 30, 40 years, I guess. So he was living in Oklahoma. Somebody passed away. He don't live in the area no more. He just pretty much want to get rid of the property, you know, fast and quick. So he assumed it'll probably sell for like $75,000 at an auction. But not that many people showed up that day, and it ended up going for like around $50,000. And he didn't have to accept the offer, but in his situation behind his story, the home he owned it free and clear. He lived in Oklahoma. That's like probably about 15, 16 hours away from here. He don't want the property no more. So it was like, that's more important than why the price, you know, because the price evidently it was worth more than that. But in his situation, he's an older guy and he's out of state. He don't want to, you know, manage it.
Yeah. So he was willing to take a lower price, just you know, to have more convenience, right? Get rid of this. I don't want to do it anymore. I'll take what, you know, I'll take speed and certainty on the price, right? That's why you had to come up with cash, I'm guessing.
Exactly. He took once you win the bid, you got to put down 10% there. So that's already gone. But yeah, that auction is, you know, your money is guaranteed if you're selling the property, but you expect to sell it at a discount. But I ended up, basically the property was ready to move in ready. And I couldn't get finance at the time. So I said, hey, we put it for sale. Put it for sale. It took about 2 months later and we ended up selling it for what it should have sold for at the auction, which is around $75,000. And I was like,
did you ever actually take title, or was it just under contract at that point?
No, I purchased it. I had 30 days to purchase it. I took title. I basically, you know, we mowed the yard, cut a tree limb down, sprayed air freshener in the house, and I put it for sale. I'm a realtor. So, you know, that was actually one of my first listings as a realtor. Like a lot of my listings just happened to be like properties I'm involved in for like my first couple of deals, it seemed like. But I listed property, and it took a while to sell because it happened around the holidays too, around Thanksgiving, Christmas. So the contract took a little longer, but we ended up selling it. And you know, I work a job at the post office. We make around what, $40,000 a year, and I got one check for like 20 some grand. I'm like, geez, and that, you know, that's 2 months. And I was like, I got to do more.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, you netted 20K after fees probably,
Yes.
and boom, that's half your salary, right? Six months of walking the mail route, driving the mail route.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, you evidently you got to pay taxes on it, but just up front, it's like I didn't do that much work. You just taking action, because like right now, a lot of people saying, is the market going to crash or market don't drop? And it's like, no, none of us, we all speculate, but nobody know the truth. So what I say is, you know, you got to get in the game to even get, like, even if you're going to have good luck or bad luck, but you have to be in the game. So like, I'm gonna buy the property, and, you know, we'll find out after that what's going to happen.
Well, I think the markets, you know, people sometimes focus on, is the market good? Is it bad? You know, it can be going up, down, left, right, whichever. But you can, as long as you buy the deal, right? Like you can always get a good deal. Like you just
Right. And this was a rental property.
You can buy a good deal in any market.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a rental property. So most rental properties, I mean, if you buy it for the rent, like cash flow, the rent, even if the price of the property drop, I don't think the rent will drop as low as the value may drop. If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. You know, I'm impressed. 20K on the first deal, half your salary. Where did it go from there? When was deal number 2, and then kind of how did things evolve after that for you?
All right. After that, that's when things started. Now, you would have thought I would have been like, all right, let's do this again. But I did that deal, and for like a whole year after that, you know, I didn't buy any more properties that year. But after that, I took that money and I started a different business, and I realized I actually didn't like anything besides real estate, because I opened up a hair store, beauty supply store, and I realized I had to be there every day, all day. I had to pay employees, and I basically learned, you know, that year I like real estate and I better stick to doing this. So I started focusing on looking for cash flow rentals.
Cash flow rentals. All right. So
Yes.
your first deal was a flip. Took some money off the table, right? Or cash out, made some money, and then sounds like you sat on it for about a year. Maybe getting your bearings right, or I don't know. Maybe you hit it off so well on the first deal, you're a little nervous to jump back.
And that's exactly what happened. Like, say, like I bought my first duplex for $85,000, right? And right now, duplex is going for like same type of duplex is going for like 140, 130, and it's like, once you buy something at a certain price, I'm pretty sure it's hard to overspend. So like even the old timers on here who bought properties back in the day for 40 and 50 grand, even if it's a good deal at 100 grand, they still know like, hey, I purchased this property 8 years ago for 40 grand. I'm not paying 100, you know?
Yeah. No, I've got the same kind of thing happened to me at the casino. Actually, my first time to Vegas, I won a lot of money. And then I went back and I won a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, that wasn't as like good as a hit, right? So I'm not as excited about it anymore. And I haven't even gambled in years now. But I think if you have a success on your first deal, sometimes it can be a little scary to jump back in, because you're like, well, last time I bought this house for 50 grand. Now I could buy it for 80 and sell it for 90, or cash flow it for a couple of years and then sell it for 100, 110, but it wasn't as good as when I bought it back at 50, right? That's kind of in the back of your head.
Yes.
So eventually you pulled the trigger and went more the rental route. Was the duplex your next deal?
Well, yes. So after that first flip, right, I studied, I kept learning real estate, and that was the main thing, because people say, are you a flipper? Are you a renter, a wholesaler? My tool belt, like, because I had been reading every single real estate book listening to every single podcast every day while I was in that mail truck. So that's like 6-7 hours of material every single day for years. So I knew everything. I just wasn't making any moves. So it got to the point where, you know, I was working at the post office and I just got tired of it. And I knew, you know, my calling was real estate. So an older guy told me, he was like, George, when you put 2 feet in the real estate, that's when, you know, you'll get more success, because you can work a 9 to 5 and do real estate. But in my case, I was double dipping. I was like mostly at work and not doing real estate. So I ended up quitting my job at the post office. And that's when I quit my job, I think last year. I quit my job last year in May after Memorial Weekend. And I bought my first duplex. I knew I needed a duplex because basically, in my case, you don't have a job no more. You need money every month to replace that.
You need cash flow.
Yeah, so I wasn't looking for flips. I wasn't looking for the wholesale. I wasn't looking for nothing. I was looking for cash flow properties that could replace my job income. So I bought a duplex first, and then I bought a Airbnb property, which, you know, Airbnb before the COVID happened, that's a cash flow machine too. And I bought them 2 properties, got them up and running, and I kind of I was like, I can do this. You know, I felt more confidence in what I was doing. So come the first of the year, I ended up buying 2 more properties. And mind you, 3 out of 4 of these properties are me just meeting the seller and just speaking to people and telling people, George do real estate, George do real estate. So when they go to sell a property, I have like 2 people reach out, hey, this person is my auntie grandma trying to sell this house. And I'm like, let me go look at it. And I was buying deals like that.
And when did you become a real estate agent? Was that before you quit your job, before you started investing in deals? Like when did you become an agent?
Well, that's kind of interesting because everybody should relate this story to your life. My son was born April 29th, 2 years ago. So I'm in the hospital. He was just born on a Sunday, and I was like, I'm finna be out of work. You know, I can take up to 3 months off. So I was like, I started looking up real estate license, and the class literally started on that Tuesday, and it was like $480. I'm like, man, can I spend $480? Because I'm finna be out of work for a little bit because we just had a child. And you know what? I was like, I know I need my real estate license. So I went ahead and signed up for the class, spent the money, and I got my real estate license while I was basically out with my wife when we had our first child. And that was about 2 years ago.
So you got your license. Now, how has being an agent, how has that impacted your investor business and vice versa? How has the investing that you have done helped your real estate agent business? How have the 2 of those grown together?
Right. And what I was about to say, when I said that the class started 2 days after my child was born, I think the universe was like meant for that to happen, because I passed all the tests, you know, for the real estate class and the state exam within like the next 2 months. I passed everything. So I felt like it was meant to be. And like when things line up for people, like you can't question, you can't ask your mom, your dad, your brother. You have to just, if the light turned green for you, go. And that's what I feel like, that's why I passed all them tests and got my license. But once I got my real estate license, I knew, you know, deep down inside, I'm a real estate investor. So I was like, okay, I can write my own offers now. I don't have to beg a realtor to write these offers. And I can also, you know, I felt like I can sell the properties better. I felt like that at least. So as a realtor, I mean, I wouldn't say getting my license is like mandatory. Like say I was to move to a different state. Would I get my real estate license? Probably would. But it helped me because you meet more people. You in the room, you know what I mean? You meet sellers, you meet buyers, and you just all of a sudden buy properties. So you come across these deals, instead of trying to sell them all, I buy some of them. But as far as one of the tricks I do use as a realtor is, if I really want a deal and it just is competitive, I tell the other agent, you know, hey, you keep the whole 6% and you get my 3% if I can get the deal at my price, you know? And they'll try to make that work.
Interesting tactic. I'm sure I'm sure that would help you in a competitive situation. What what is your real estate holdings look like now? Is it all rentals? Or are you
Well,
have you done any more flips, or is it all buy and hold?
yeah. So right now I have about 12 properties. Two of them are duplexes, and the rest are single family. And one of the we bought a recent property back in July, and that was basically off of being a realtor too. But we basically bought the property and fixed it up, and now it's under contract being sold. But I I'm starting to lean towards the flipping. But at first, I was focused on rentals because I knew I didn't have a job. So now that I kind of replaced my job income by the rental properties, now I can start to try to flip some and take a little bit more risk.
And are you getting any income on real estate commissions from the agent side?
Yes, and that's why I feel like
Yeah.
real estate is my calling because yes, I help people buy houses, I help people sell homes, and it's kind of like I mean, like I'm all around. I'm doing it everything. For as far as being a real estate agent, I can say I was messing up. One part was I was telling the buyers to put in offers at numbers I would put in. So for instance, I'm an investor. I want to buy the property at maybe at a 75%, if it's worth 100. So I was making my buyers put these low offers in this competitive market, and they were losing deals because they going with what I would pay for it. I had to realize like, hey, this person is a homeowner. They're not an investor. So if they can pay, they will willing to pay a higher price.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'm wearing both hats of those businesses. Myself, I know, on our development side, we'll look at 100 deals, write offers on 10, and maybe get one. Most homeowners, don't want to go through that. It's all about
Right.
minimizing the number of showings, getting them the house they want, and saving them time. And over time, they're gonna make money on it. Maybe not as quick as an investor, but they're getting the tax advantages while they live there. They're, getting a place to call home, all sorts of other stuff. So it is two different
It's
games.
exactly. So I had to learn that because I was actually putting my own foot in my mouth by, they were like, I want to put an offer 200. I'm like, I wouldn't do but like 175. And, they would listen to me. And then all of a sudden somebody else got it with a higher offer. So I was realized, I listened to the buyer, if they want to put the offer in, we go that way.
So now does your cash flow from the 12 or so rentals that you owned, has that replaced what your income was prior to quitting your job?
I would say not quite yet because it's like when you just buying the rentals, I feel like majority of the money is still fixing because I buy older homes. So like right now I'm fixing a whole bathroom. The tub had a crack in it. So the plumber's over there switching out bathtubs. But right now, I mean, it's close, you know what I mean? But I feel like I still need more properties to feel more confident because every month, like last month, I had no phone calls. But maybe next month I might get this many phone calls. So it's like if every month varies, but if nothing breaks, that's a great month.
So you have that leg of the business though, but then you also got the flipping leg and then the real estate commissions leg as well. So with all three of those at play, like where do you stand in relationship to your prior income?
Right. And this is one of the things I say. I was working probably like 50 hours a week, right? Making 50 hours a week, I'm making like $20 an hour. So I come home 6:30, I look at the same old YouTube channel or show or whatever, eat dinner, go to sleep, do it again next day, right? 6 days a week. So now I feel like the main difference is working on a 9 to 5 steady is I may work 1/5 of that. So say I work 3 hours a day times 4 days, that's 12 hours a week. But I would like to say my time is being used more valuable. So if I go show a house, that may take an hour. Write up an offer, that may take another hour. Then you got another hour maybe just negotiating type of stuff. So that's 3 hours, but you may make a $4,000 or $5,000 check. You know what I'm saying? So I would say I got way more. I say I make more because I'm not working as even close to the amount of hours that I used to work.
Yeah, your hourly rate has gone up.
Exactly. So, I mean, $20 an hour, I used to look at that like it was great. But now that I stopped working, I'm like, man, I need like $200 an hour, you know?
Well, it's an exciting story. I hope the people listening today are motivated and inspired by it, and that more people quit their jobs. Because people, especially right now, people need alternative ways to create wealth without necessarily being in that trap of always trading time for money. And you seem to be on the path of doing that, and I hope you are an example for others. And I'm ready to do the hyperfast round now, if you are ready for some rapid fire questions and answers.
Yeah, but I was gonna say before, like, you know how you say you wish more people would quit the 9 to 5 to, be an entrepreneur. I think it's more about people identifying what their purpose or gift is. So I got a lot of people say, hey, George, I'm finna get my real estate license. All because they see my success in real estate. And I don't think it worked like that. Find out what you do the best. Like, what do all your friends or associates call you for? Oh, Mary baked pies. Oh, what's it called? You know how to fix cars. That's your gift. And that's how you're going to make the money, It may not seem like at the beginning, but like even now in real estate, I didn't make money at the beginning, but it's starting to like snowball the more you get your foot in the game,
Yeah, no, you definitely, I think if you've got a special gift, you need to tap into it, and maybe it's real estate for people out there listening. Maybe it's not. I think it's something that anyone and everyone can do. You just got to listen to the right podcast like you did.
Right.
All right. So let's kick off the hyperfast round here. What's the biggest piece of advice you would give to a new real estate investor?
Oh man. So to the new real estate investor, this is what I'm going to say. Stop being you want to know everything before it happened. Oh, do you think the market going to drop? Oh, do you think I'm going to be able to rent it out? They got all these 4C questions that nobody truly know the answers to. Plenty of properties I have purchased and they appreciate it a lot. I didn't expect it, but it appreciated a lot. So you got to, learn the information, know your knowledge, and make an offer and get in the game. Because if you don't have any properties, 20 years later, you're going to still be saying, hey, the market finna crash. And guess what? It never crashed and you don't have any properties. And it's like, you didn't even give yourself an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Too many people get kind of paralyzed, right? The analysis paralysis. The best way to learn is eventually you just got to do it, jump in. So that's a great answer. What's the biggest challenge you've had in real estate and how did you overcome it?
Well, my biggest challenge in real estate, I don't know if I overcame it yet, but one of my pet peeves are, I got these rental properties. I expect the tenants to treat them like I treat my home. So oftentimes, I drive by the property or I have to go in there and look at something and it's not up to my standards. And it gives me anxiety. I'm like, why is the old car back here sitting on bricks? Why is the cat running around? Why is this person always here? Like, that's my biggest challenge. I'd have to get some kind of system in place where, first of all, I just put a letter in the mail and this is the rules. This is what at least follow that instead of just like making it seem like it's my fault or I choose the right tenant.
Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point there, and tenants aren't going to love it as much as you do, right, or have the same feeling as someone that owns it. But I think you've started to talk about having Airbnb properties, and I actually think Airbnb maintenance is typically better because you have more turnover, so you or your manager are looking at it more, and that's just an interesting thing for people that are debating between long-term or short-term rentals to think about is the benefits of managing it more intensely.
Yeah, Airbnb property, but right now we converted all our Airbnbs to long-term rentals. And that's like right there. I bought a property. It was an Airbnb property. It only lasted about 4 months, and then the COVID came. So Airbnb kind of shut down. So as soon as that came, we turned them into long-term rentals. But that's why I say you can't foresee what's going to happen in the world.
Yeah. What are you most excited about in the next year in the real estate market as it pertains to your investing strategy?
The main thing I think what I look forward to is having the capital to be able to go out here and buy these deals. The worst part, I think, when I was in the mail truck was, having all this knowledge and skills, but not being prepared to purchase a property. I think that's like the worst part. So now the fact that I'm working on flipping some properties and stuff, and I know I have the skill set to tackle these deals, I'm looking forward to being able to go, buy even more multifamily and just scaling the business and make it more like a, Chick-fil-A. That's my motto. I want to be like Chick-fil-A. I want it to flow and grow,
Yeah, I think as you start doing more and more deals, obviously producing cash flow and good outcomes, like the capital, you become less constrained by capital sometimes than when you first start out. So that'll be exciting for you to go through and experience. So what would we find you doing when you're not doing real estate?
Oh man, when I'm not doing real estate, I like to travel with my family. I mean, we go to different places, and that's what I spend my time. Spend my time playing basketball or with my family. We travel. Like, we try not to go nowhere twice, so we just going different places and we just came from Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, the mountains, and it was different up there. But yeah, I love traveling.
Awesome. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Oh man, the pressure. 5 years from now, I see myself with this. I will have enough rental properties to hopefully choose to want to purchase or not purchase with no pressure. Whether I don't have to buy a deal because I have enough properties where I'm okay. And I see myself just really helping the world. It's so many people that don't even have this knowledge. So my goal is to start, traveling and speaking and helping people who don't, like, for instance, say I have renters coming to look at a property and I got the homeowner there or the landlord on the home. The people coming to look at the house don't even realize that this owner is looking at your character right now to see whether he wants to rent the house to you. And I have so many people come, they have the children running wild or whatever. And I'm like, you're trying to stay in this person's home. You should come and present yourself with a good manner. So I just want to teach people, much as I can about not only real estate investing, but even just buying your home or trying to rent or whatever, just teaching people.
Well, it'll be exciting to watch you on that journey of building up your rental portfolio, helping others do it. And we hope to have you back on the show when you go from, 14 doors to 100, which hopefully is not too long for you. So right. Thank you for being on the show. I had a blast. I know your story provided a ton of inspiration to our listeners and people watching on YouTube. Before we sign off, if I'll give you a chance just to tell people how to connect with you, if they've got questions or want to connect on social media, or if they're looking to buy or sell a house in Vero Beach.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Dan. Because I really, my goal is to inspire people to go out here and just do it. And that's what, ever since I've been on other platforms, people say my story inspired them. And I say, go make an offer, go get a deal. But if you want to reach me, you can contact me on my email, georgesellhomes@gmail.com, or Instagram, the most popular, George Do Real Estate, or my YouTube channel, George Do Real Estate. I show all my flips and rental properties and New American Dream podcast. That's where you can catch it.
All right. Well, check out George on Instagram, YouTube, or reach out to him directly listen to the American Dream podcast. It's been exciting having you on. Thank you for the great interview, and for all the listeners out there, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, man.
And if you guys enjoyed this show, if it inspired you, please share the episode with someone, leave us a review, and give us feedback. Thank you, and have an amazing day. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. If you want to see more videos like this, click right here. And if you're new to the channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And let me know in the comments what you think about the videos. I'll see you next time.